Busy day today for Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple, and really the whole crypto industry. We see Brad on Fox here, and the message is simple. Don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. We got to get this Clarity Act done. Ripple today in Washington trying for the final push to get this bill signed into law. Such a big deal, and it's getting close. We see Brad saying the following: 90% chance, not that it gets done someday, some year, no, now. 90% chance the Clarity Act is signed into law by April. And Stuart Alderati was in Washington representing Ripple, trying to bring some sense to this conversation. You got to get this thing done. I don't think people understand. Brad was on there saying President Biden's war on crypto failed, and it failed America. But this is what you got to remember. President Biden, he didn't have anything against crypto. Of course, the buck stops on any president's desk, so that's fine. Call it the Biden administration's policy. But those people are still around. And someday there'll be a president that's sitting there at the Oval Office, and Elizabeth Warren will likely be in charge of the SEC and all the regular crew there that are anti-crypto. They're not going to make the same mistake. You think you're going to get another chance at this? Oh, heck no. They are going to write the future laws for the crypto industry if you do not strike while the iron is hot. They are not going to mess around with court cases again. If you fumble this opportunity, it's going to be a nightmare. They got to get this thing done. Now, there's still this stuff going around about really the ecosystem. We see Saul here saying it's just people begging for money. We want more money. Ripple, please give us money. I don't think it's that simple, and I don't think Ripple just giving people money works. It's not sustainable, doesn't last long term. I think we really got to look at this ecosystem and figure out, what? How do we reward people that run infrastructure, make it sustainable for wallet providers and devs and, everyone from the top to the bottom, and the users, of course. We need to keep the experience cheap and easy and seamless. So, there's a lot going on out there. And, on X, it can seem very just tons of turmoil. But what's good is it's all happening out in the open. You get to see all of it. And I think a year from now, as we kind of work through this, it'll be messy at times, but I think we'll find some good solutions forward that will be, pro XRP and building on the XRP ledger long term. And this will work out is what I would tell you here. Now, unlocking XRP, this is Hex Trust. They were on CoinDesk today saying, they're the Ripple approved issuer taking XRP multi-chain to the Ethereum blockchain, to the Solana blockchain. And I already know what a lot of you are thinking out there. You're like, if I'm going to use XRP on DeFi, if I'm going to earn yield on my XRP, I'm going to use Flare. And you know what? I know what you're thinking because I'm thinking the same thing, but this is still big. Even if you're not going to use XRP on DeFi and Ethereum or Solana, people will. And that's going to drive demand for the XRP token. And we want this token on as many blockchains as we can. And this is a big deal. They're doing a wrapped XRP. It's going to go in a lot of DeFi protocols. This is going to be a popular asset, and you can hold the asset on whatever chain you're already interacting with. Maybe you already do a lot of stuff on Solana, or you already have a lot of your stuff and you're comfortable on Ethereum. Well, we want you using XRP in those DeFi pools as well. This is going to be a big deal here. Again, Ripple's approved issuer here to custody XRP, issue wrapped XRP, and this is really going to create a lot of demand, I think, long-term for the XRP token. We went from having almost no XRP in DeFi to now FXRP scaling like wildfire over on Flare, stuff like this, Hex, issuing wrapped XRP. We have different funds for you can hold XRP and earn yield. There's a lot of different options out there, and that's what we want. What's the right option for you? Not necessarily for me. That's not what's important. What's the right one for you? And there's going to be a lot of options out there. I saw this popped up on my phone. I'm like, what the heck? The president is going to release what the government knows about aliens shortly. I got to cover that. When this comes out, we'll talk about it. Hopefully it's not like, well, we don't know anything, and that's the extent of it. Hopefully it's interesting. We will see. There's been a lot of rumblings about that. We had this, clip here by Charles Hoskinson, and he says, Trump's approach was extractive, not supportive. And, let's be honest. He's not doing this to do the crypto industry a solid, being supportive of crypto. A lot of it is for personal profit. It's why I care about this industry. And while I didn't like the Trump coin, and it was a rug pull, and it wasn't a great look for the industry, if that's our cost of admission, if that's all we got to pay, that ain't nothing, man. Where we are right now, we can get the rules of the road cemented, and that will be worth 1 million Trump coins, to be honest with you. Now, Charles says, yeah, crypto's made a mistake, and the industry has. We all have. Make no mistake. But he puts out the point here. Crypto never got a bailout. We never got any help. From Gary Gensler to the president rug pulling everyone, crypto has survived a very hostile environment, and that just shows the resiliency and the value of this technology long term. And he ain't wrong. That's absolutely right. We've been in the worst environment, no help, and we continue to march forward. Can you imagine when you have rules of the road and you can really freely build with this technology? It's going to be a totally, totally different world here. Now, this is interesting. Look at this picture here. Look at this AI kingpin here. Is crypto slowing a little bit because big money's rotating in AI? Well, it could be. But guess what? That rotation, it'll find its way back to us. We see in 2022, this is wild here, Mike Novogratz, he bought this distressed Texas Bitcoin mining site, $65 million just in 2022. Now, that same site, it's being converted into an AI data center for infrastructure. It's projected to be $1 billion in annual revenue. Some analysts say this sucker might be worth $20 billion. This guy bought it for 65. It might be worth $20 billion. Bitcoin miners, cheap energy, grid access, permits, that's everything AI needs. Is this going to affect Bitcoin more than even, other cryptocurrencies like XRP, whatever they may be? Well, maybe it will. This could be problematic if it's more profitable to run an AI data center than a Bitcoin mining rig. That could really affect a lot of things going forward. Now, Coinbase, they're rolling out their stablecoin yield paid in Bitcoin. Now, I think this is kind of what it'll look like because they're not going to be able to pay interest, but they should be able to pay rewards. And so maybe instead of paying in dollar terms, you could pay in Bitcoin or something else, like whatever. Just get this deal done. The CEO of Coinbase reveals Coinbase One premium users can now hold USDC and earn rewards paid in Bitcoin. That's part of it. You have to have a membership. You got to earn some kind of reward. It can't look like interest per se, but if it works for the industry, great. He also added sometimes the smallest features are the coolest ones. And, if this is a model that works for Coinbase, if it works for the banking industry, if it works for the U.S. government to get this done, let's rock and roll. I'm surprised they rolled it out now, though. Kind of would think they would sit back and wait till this thing is finalized. Japan, we've talked about this, reclassifying XRP as a financial product in Q2 of this year. And it will make XRP, from a tax perspective, more advantageous. It could bring taxes from a high of 55% down to 20%. That's going to fuel adoption and investment, and that's fantastic. SEC Chair Paul Atkins says the SEC will consider the following in the few months ahead of us. And man, is this a breath of fresh air? We've been asking, tell us the rules. That's what Paul Atkins is going to do here. We're going to have a framework for crypto assets, which ones are subject to an investment contract. So essentially securities law. When should we look at an asset and go, you know what? No, that needs to register. That's important. We need to know when that has to happen. Innovation example for limited trading of tokenized securities. So that's the future. They want to get the ball rolling, maybe slowly at start. But eventually all these assets will come screaming onto the blockchain. Common sense capital raising pathway. So in this industry, can you issue a token? What do you have to do? Is there some limited registration if the network isn't fully functional yet? Stuff like that. We need new projects to be able to launch and scale. That's fantastic. No action and exemptive clarity, including for wallets. So this is good. We want to make sure everyone's comfortable to work with this industry. And custody rules for non-securities. Things like stable coins even. Those aren't securities, but they're going to be regulated financial products all the same in terms of custody and requirements. And that's important because we need to be safe if you're going to see big money ripping in and investing in this industry. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.